The roadblocks are coming. Do you guys understand that? I feel like sometimes you start harping on like you start talking from a point of like fixing things. You know, everything we talk about is change. Everything we talk about is habit. You know, we're talking about how to be a little bit more dialed into self, to figure out what the fuck you do want, and then change certain things in order to make sure that you get there. When you do that, your life goes a lot better because you have so much less dissonance going on between what you actually want. But I feel like there's a misconception that maybe the message is like, guys, like, come on, like, this is so easy. Like, how are you not getting it? Like, this is so fucking easy. That I think a lot of people hear it that way. And I think then they look at the person and go, wow, they just must have like some knack for understanding how easy fucking life is. And it's not like that for me. It's hard as fuck. So their message isn't for me. That's not the message. Listen to what people are saying. What I'm saying to you is life is hard. Why in the fuck don't you guys even have pants on? That's the truth. I feel like the more and more I walk around, it's just a bunch of people that are pretending like everything's going fucking great and there ain't shit to worry about when they aren't handling anything on a day-to-day basis that they need to fucking worry about. Don't buy into this fucking nonsense. You should never feel shame and guilt. You should never feel worry. That all worry that you feel is called fucking anxiety and is a fucking disorder. That ain't the ticket. I'll tell you straight up, a lot of the anxieties you have are just natural, common fucking precursors to fucked up futures that are coming down the pipeline for you, and your life and your embodiment is realizing that you're not fucking prepared. You're not prepared to handle that shit. It can see what's coming down the pipeline and it knows you're gonna fucking get destroyed by it. So it's trying to tell you daily before the things happen, like, hey man, you should probably start doing something. You should probably start doing some sort of preparation for that life is fucking hard. And that's why we're always talking about self-inflicted adversity, doing hard things for you, not shying away when the thing does get hard, especially if it's an endeavor. Does that make sense? Like when you self-inflict adversity, these are normally endeavors or like things that you want to do that are going to come up and be difficult to get started on. It's just that little bit of friction, right? It's not the same as unavoidable adversity at all. It's not the same as something that you can't have the ability to prepare for in the exact manner. You can't really prepare for losing a relationship. You can make sure that yourself is okay so that you'll be able to handle it, but you can't really prepare for what it's going to feel like because it might feel different every time. You can't really prepare for loss of a loved one when you don't know that that's coming. So what you're doing is you're preparing yourself. You're just preparing yourself in the general sense. Toughness, resilience, all those things. And they do work. I need some of you guys to know, like the shit that used to crumble me now, back in the day, it don't do shit to me now. Now the only things that affect me are actually large scale things that probably should have an effect on people. And when those happen, I just process them in a healthy manner and then move the fuck forward after that little healing pocket is done. Like that's all there is to it. A lot of you get crippled by shit that is common, everyday, just, you know, very low level stressors. Then you wonder why when you have an actual hardship, a real hardship happens. You go through a breakup with someone, you gotta move out, you gotta move them out. Like, you know, loss of a loved one, loss of a job, have to move states, like financial issues. When all those things come up, you're so unprepared that the only thing that happens to you is that you go completely into self-preservation mode, sympathy searching, inaction, depression, you know, just the total opposite of what you're supposed to be doing. And it happens because you're in a weakened state, a weakened emotional state, and you need to do that. So the preparation is to make sure that you're ready for when those things happen. The Stoics had a saying for that: Premeditatio Malorum. The things are coming: famine, shipwreck, war, personal struggle. Like all those things are coming. Not that you sit around going like, oh, all those things are coming, like life is terrible, this is, not to be resigned to them and go like, oh, life is all full of tragedy, but to understand that they are coming, and that the acceptance of that fact makes it a little bit easier to manage the emotional part of it before it happens. And it also leads you down the path of preparing for the thing to actually happen, the stimulus. So the message isn't, wow, life is so easy, you're a fucking idiot. The message is, wow, life is so much harder than you're trying to pretend that it is. It should be harder than you're pretending that it is. Life don't owe you shit, you owe life. So the message is, why aren't you prepared? Why aren't you prepared at all? When we talk about personal, internal attributes being the number one thing you should focus on first, and everyone finds that confusing, the analogy I've been using recently is like, it's building a house. See, most of you skipped building the foundation. Most of you just started putting shit up in weird places. Now it's all wobble. You didn't follow a blueprint. So you have some stuff put up, but it's so structurally unsound that any time a storm happens, it's just water inside the fucking house, shit's falling over, things are getting destroyed. And so during that period, you actually don't have a stable enough foundation to use that foundation as a place to sit in and weather the storm. See, when those things happen to me, I have a good enough foundation where I sit inside. I actually have the foundation and the walls built, at least to a fucking minimal degree. What happens is the storm comes, and during that time when the storm is raging, right, I use every piece of what I've built, right, and I sit inside and I weather the storm for a small amount of time. But it's really not that hard. Things aren't happening. It's just sitting in there and going like, okay, cool, the storm will pass. Like, this isn't great, no. But I'm not getting rained on. See, you motherfuckers are getting rained on. And then when you go outside, after the storm is over, man, so much has deteriorated from that moment, from that one fucking adversity that came along the path, that you don't go straight back to building like I do for the next thing. You go into repair mode because your shit got so fucked up because the structure was already so fucked. Does that make sense? Now you're repairing something. So now you've regressed. Now you have to do a repairing process just to get back to where you were. And now you're tired because you're starting a repairing process after you just sat inside getting wet for 3 weeks to fucking 6 months. Whereas the storm for me might be 2 weeks of me just sitting inside and going like, this is, more than anything, it's just almost boring. It's like I have to really recoil to my personal processes and kind of just think and sit there. I don't really go fucking back on the building train until I feel like I have my feet back. But that is absolutely what I see happening to most people. Most people are so unprepared. You didn't build the foundation and then build anything on top of it. So the storm comes, and you don't even have something pulled over the roof to stop the rain from fucking hitting you. So that period of time that should have just been a like, wow, I gotta weather the storm period is now like chaotic. It's just you're weathering the storm, but you ain't got any shelter. Then, when the period goes over, then you guys are going into a repair process. So I need you to understand that's where the fucking regression, and that's why you're so behind. You want the storm to get done, and you go outside and you have a renewed sense to get back to work. You go, wow, now I know what that storm feels like. I want to be a little bit even more prepared next time, but my house didn't get fully destroyed. I can go right back to building. And then the next time the fucking thing happens, I'm going to have stronger walls on this bitch. So just understand, that's the message. The message is life is hard. The message is not life is easy. It's that you're focusing on the wrong things in order to get prepared for the hardship that life is going to throw your way. The more you prepare for that, the more you're ready. The more mentally you accept and relinquish, surrender to the fact that that's a reality, that you cannot control that. The easier it is to stop thinking about the things you can't control, focus on the things you can, and then free up all that excess time to really get good at focusing on those things. So just remember, life is coming, motherfucker. Don't hit a period of fucking boredom and oh, I think everything might be fine. I had someone say to me recently, I don't have anything to worry about. I've never been more concerned for a human being than hearing somebody say that. It's a very naive outlook on life. Life is coming. That fucking loss of love, that loss of a loved one, that loss of a job, that fucking insecurity, that fear, uncertainty, doubt about man, I don't know what, I have no clue what I'm meant for and destined for, and I don't know if I'm ever gonna pull off anything. I might just fucking, that's all coming. So be ready, at least be prepared when it shows up.